some men, they're men. Well, all right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the Aspie Bridge. I'm Suzanne, your host and torchbearer, and I'm here to help women and their men who are also autistic go across this Aspie Bridge. Now, why are we talking about an Aspie Bridge? Well, the Aspie Bridge is a metaphor between staying in the neurodiverse world, which is on this side, and going into society, which is the other side. Now, this is a company, and like most companies, they look at what is called the SWOT analysis. The SWOT analysis is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Last week, we talked about the strengths of the mission. And while there are strengths in helping women go across, they need to prepare their mental mindset that they're willing to go across, that they're willing to leave victimhood, leave being controlled by other people, and leave, most importantly, the income that sometimes occurs on this side when they don't really need it. Now, as I said last week, there are certain occasions when there are autistic individuals that might need it for another characteristic that they're challenged with in their body, whether it be a physical challenge or a hearing challenge, as I spoke about last week, or sight challenge that might make it more difficult for them to carry out normal work or society issues, which means that they need a job coach to go along with them, and that income might pay for the job coach. What I wanted to say is just being autistic level 1, I would love to see you go across into society and earn an income because you can do it. You have the gifts to do it. I know you can do it. And I'm here to be your cheerleader. That's why I'm the torchbearer. Now, I would be remiss to say that going across the bridge is going to be a piece of cake for everyone because there are challenges. There's going to be a lot of work. Now, this week, we're talking about society being ready for us. There are a lot of people out there that are working in the inclusive parts of companies to make it better for us, but not every company is open to making those changes. And let me tell you about some of my experiences, because I think that will help you understand where some of the challenges are. Now, here I am, I'm an elementary education graduate, and I couldn't get a job because of competition. There is always someone who can answer the questions faster. There was always someone who could answer the questions differently than I did. They were living on the neurotypical side, and they were conforming to what the standards were on how fast to answer, what kind of questions to answer, and they weren't getting anxiety by answering questions. And that's where I was having challenges. The anxiety of an interview was a big challenge for me. And I know everybody says it's a numbers game. But let me tell you, after the 5th interview for the same kind of job, I was exhausted. I could not put myself through another interview just to get rejection, just to feel like, oh, I'm sorry, you were wonderful, but there was a better candidate. That was the number one phrase I kept hearing. You were wonderful, but there was just another candidate that was a little bit stronger than you. And while I didn't understand at the time that I was autistic, that hurt to hear that no matter how well I did, there was always a better candidate for the job. We hear that a lot. And yeah, the numbers game. You got to go to so many interviews, 25, 30 interviews, and eventually you'll hit the yes. Well, if you're autistic, we don't have the energy or the ability through emotional ability to sit through 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 interviews waiting for the yes, because we kept hearing the same thing. You're a wonderful person. You're a wonderful candidate. Well, we found someone stronger. Of course you did. So let me tell you, Competition is the ugliest word in our dictionary. We don't want to go in and think that you're going to compare us to everybody else that you're interviewing because we have a different way of listening to it. Let me tell you, the interview process is a 3-step process for us. One, we need to be able to hear the question correctly, and any challenges with hearing, we're not going to hear it quite the same way. Second thing is we have to assess, what are you really asking us? Do you want our whole story? Do you want us to tell you all about it? No, we got to decide how much to tell you and what to leave behind. If we tell you too much, well, there we go. Not quite the candidate they were looking for. If we tell you too little, we have sold ourselves short. So competition is our ugliest word in our dictionary because we're up against other people that may answer the question the way they like it. And that means that there's another job, missed opportunity. This week's conversation is all about weaknesses, missed opportunities, and competition. And so many times the missed opportunities can hurt us because we lose out on income. Let's get back to where my story was. So I would go through these interviews for education jobs, and I kept getting that phrase I told you about. We're wonderful. We love your energy, but we found a better candidate. Okay. Well, I then went into the substitute teaching. Well, I came across a principal who served children in her school that had autism, but she wasn't crazy about teachers who were not conforming to her standards as a teacher. So what happened was, as soon as I did something wrong, and I'll be quite candid to say, I asked a child to stay in his seat by touching his knee, he went home and told his mother that I hit him. Now, I think the principal took that to the highest regard and said, fine, that's my out. I don't need to deal with it anymore. Can you imagine what that would have felt like? You have one strike against you and you're gone. You're fired. Well, that's what happens to a lot of us Aspies that are around the world. Many people get let's talk to them, let's counsel them, let them know what was wrong with their behavior, with their decision, and we'll try and see if they do fine. Many of us, one offense, we're gone. Yeah, missed opportunities. What this little boy didn't realize is he wanted attention from his mother. He didn't realize that he would be costing me a career. Missed opportunity. So I went on to other things. I kept growing. I went and realized that I knew how to solve the problem by creating an enrichment center. Now, here's another problem. I have now decided that, well, I need to work. I've now gone back into the retail establishment because I love talking to people. Yes, it's a little different. I do love speaking to people, and I came to be quite strong at that. But as I've gotten older, I found that I need more accommodations. I need something soft under my feet if I want to work for 6, 7 hours. There was a fan over my head at the job I was working at. I work at a drive-through. There's a fan over my head. Can I turn it off? No, I'm sorry. We need to leave it on. Well, I don't know if you know about a lot of autistic individuals. Sounds like fans and hand dryers and flickering lights are triggers that exhaust us faster. Now, for the longest time, I would go into jobs and I did put on this mask. This mask of, it doesn't bother me, I can do it, I'm fine. Well, I would go home and I would be exhausted because I was wearing a mask of, it's fine, I'll deal with it. But I really wasn't dealing with it. I wasn't speaking up. Now, if the company understood that this wasn't just an annoyance, this was actually a trigger, perhaps they would think about finding another way to turn it off, maybe during my shift or such. But you see, what happens to a lot of companies is that they don't want to go against the rules if they have someone in there that is working for them. That person is expected to live by the same set of standards as the other workers. I get that. I want to be able to. And every so often people would say, well, everybody's a little bit autistic, aren't they? Have to tell you that no, that is not exactly true. There are people who have different levels of annoyances, but that doesn't mean that it's going to cause anxiety to the point that they're exhausted when they go home. They can't function when they go home. You might hear some sounds that bother you during the day and be like, oh, that's a pain. But then you keep going and you can work a 6, 7, 8 hour day. I'm lucky these days if I can make it through 5 hours because of all the sounds and all the sensory coming at me. I don't think everybody deals with sensory issues the same way. In fact, it's kind of funny, and I apologize for you guys who like to drive loud engine cars up and down the streets. That's another thing that can kind of set us off. Or that bass engine, that bass on your music. Yeah, that's another one. Just to give you an idea. Oh, and if you're a cop, I ask you, turn off your flickering lights when you stop us. The flickering lights can cause more accidents than it doesn't, just because our eyes are so affected by it. So as I'm talking, these are some of the challenges that we're running up against in society. Now, I'll give it to you. You may not realize this because you're not dealing with the same triggers that we deal with. Again, not everybody is autistic just because different things affect them. I would love to get a sticker that says, autistic driver, please steady your engine light, your police lights, just to let you know that that would be a lot easier for other drivers as well as myself to drive safely. Anyway, let's go on. So, what is society missing if they don't hire us? Well, they think they're scot free. They're dealing with a bunch of people who can handle the job 7, 8, 9 hours a day. But are they getting the different thought processing, the perception, the different out of the box thinking? They may get some creative minds in there, yes, but they're not getting the other viewpoints that might come in if we were to come work with them. And I can tell you, with me being a problem solver, I could come into your environment. And if there's a problem that does come up, I can problem solve for you, as many other autistic individuals can problem solve for you. Wouldn't it be nice to have a different perspective on solving an issue? And the last thing is, do you know that I don't miss work? And there are many others who are like myself, who are very loyal. If we are put into the right jobs, we will come to work because we enjoy work. We don't like to call out unless there's been a trigger that has bothered us or an interpersonal challenge that you're not aware of. And yes, we do need to speak up. We need to speak up if we're having a challenge. Now, you need to find ladies who are on the spectrum. We need to find a safe person to let them know off of the floor, away from everybody else, what our challenges are. It's up to your responsibility to tell someone who is safe in your environment, a bridge builder, that you need some help with either an interpersonal challenge or with an accommodation that's not being met or that needs to be created. Because no one's going to read your mind. No one's going to know what your triggers are. We all know we're different. We're not the same person. We all have different issues that bother us. So we can't expect a company to go in and say, okay, there are no fans, there are no lights, there are no, I mean, they have to run a business too. So it's up to each and every one of us to step up, whether or not you have a disability accommodation or just a manager to you conversation of saying, these are the challenges I have, and if you want me to be my best worker, would you kindly listen to these accommodations? Now, if you have a bridge builder for a manager or someone who has your back, I bet they'll be a lot more willing to help you out. And that's why bridge builders are especially important in this job, to help us walk across, get into environments in our communities where someone has our back. And then we're not trying to fight our own issues by ourselves. We need that extra person who's going to say to the manager, you know, I loved her answers during an interview. Yeah, it took her longer to come out with them, but her answers were really right on, don't you think? This is where a bridge builder could certainly help us to get into the jobs. You know what happens if we don't get into jobs that we're really passionate about? We get into janitorial jobs. We get into lower income Burger King and some of these other jobs, and or a chambermaid, where we're not stimulated, intellectually stimulated. When we're not intellectually stimulated, there's more opportunity for us to get exhausted sooner or have a meltdown. And then you get to say to us, see, I knew you can handle it. You're going to have a meltdown. Well, the meltdowns don't happen just because we're autistic. The meltdowns are a trigger because we're not being intellectually challenged or intellectually stimulated to do a job that's passionate to us. Here again, this is where a bridge builder can learn about our interests and help us find the right job. Let's take a few moments to talk about the interview process. There's more than one interview process. And when I get to the solutions, I'm going to tell you all about some of the different ways that we can help the Aspie woman or man get into a job that is going to be right in their line of work. Tell you about that soon. Now, what are we missing if we don't, what are the missed opportunities if we don't get hired? Well, we can't be authentic. We can't learn to love our job. We can't love our jobs because we're in jobs that don't give us passion. I just talked about that a few minutes ago. We're pretending to work and earn an income that of activities that don't excite us. So we're no longer living a life we can love. We're just doing it for the money. The next thing is we get pigeonholed into these jobs I was just talking about. Oh, you're autistic? You can take out the garbage. You can mop the floors. You can do this. You can do that. Well, that's fine if we enjoy doing that kind of work. But I can tell you, there aren't too many of us that want to swab the decks, as they say, or take the garbage out 6 times a day. We want to be like everybody else. We want to have challenging jobs. We don't want to be pigeonholed for the jobs that are easy because someone else thinks they're easy. That brings up an important point, micromanaging. It's going to be very important for the bridge builder to notice when someone's trying to do a job for the autistic individual that the individual is more than capable of doing. And this is a preconception that the society has, that if we have a label, if we have a challenge, not a disability, if we have a challenge, too many people are too quick to jump in and take over. That's micromanaging. Ask us a question. Do you need help? How can I make it easier for you? If you ask us those questions while we're on the job, if we look flustered, we can sometimes tell you what the problem is. And I say sometimes because there may be some accommodations that are missing that we need to put into place. But let me just tell you a funny story. There is a woman that works with me that will grab napkins to hand them to me. And I'm like, really? I think I can grab the napkins. Thank you very much. But micromanaging is the act of taking over for someone that they perceive disabled because they don't have the trust that we can do it ourselves. And that's discouraging for all of us. See, these are all the missed opportunities for us to learn and grow. Yeah, we may not be as fast, although I'll tell you, people are surprised at the fact that I get into the groove when it gets nice and busy and we have a lot of business going on in the store. So fast is not the issue. But, just if a bridge builder can help us to say to someone else, they're all set, move on, or they can say to the person who might be a little anxious trying to work with us, she has it, she can handle it, let her do it. Then we don't feel like we're less than, because we're not. We're just different abled. And so that's an important part I want to tell you. The last thing is that when we're pigeonholed into some of the jobs that you think we should only be able to have, that's going to bring down meltdowns faster. It's going to burn us out faster. And guess what that does with the poverty level? It puts us in living at the poverty level and collecting income from our families to live in decent homes, in decent housing. Now, isn't it a shame that society can't help us to get the jobs that we would love, missed opportunities that we would love in order for us to live at a income level that we can have a home, go on vacations just like everybody else does. So these are some of the things that come up when we're trying to have a life that means something to us, missed opportunities. And I know there are bridge builders out there that can really help us get into the jobs we love, get into the work we love. But it requires the autistic individual, which I call the Aspie individual, to step up, to go into action. She can't sit back and expect it's going to be handed to her. And it's also not going to be handed accommodations to her to make life easier. She does have to go into action and ask for what she needs. That's for all of us. And we also need to know our limitations. I'm sorry, I need a 10-minute break. Any manager who I spoke about last week who is not willing to give you a 10-minute break to recompose yourself, that's not going to be the best place for you. So let's go into some of the solutions for the last 10 minutes of our podcast. It starts with going into society, knowing we have a bridge builder beside us to watch out for our needs so we're not taken advantage of. To go in and say to the boss, I have a great friend who is autistic, but this job is right up her alley. I would love you to give her a chance. And when the manager says, well, how does she interview? There are 3 kinds of interviews that we can participate in. If it's an activity that we've been doing and we enjoy doing, a picture portfolio showing our work experiences, showing what we enjoy doing at home, and some people who have seen our work. That can take the place of a question and answer standard interview. It shows people in a visual format what our capabilities are. And now you're not worried about how long it's taken me to answer the question. Although I'll tell you that if you were to put us into interviews where we have a vested interest, a passion, we're going to be a lot faster at answering those questions because that activity means a lot to us. We're able to come up with the questions faster because there's passion. The second thing that you can do as managers in society is to let us try the job. Create a week of us on the job and see how we do. Can we have an interpersonal discussion? Can we accomplish the job with accuracy? Are we coming to work on time and showing up and being the best version of ourselves? And do we have the intellectual capacity to perform the job correctly? If those answers are all yes, there's no reason why we should have to go through the standard interview process. There are other ways to get us onto the job without expecting us to answer questions. Now, I can do it, but that doesn't mean every autistic individual can answer the questions as fast as you would like us. As I said at the beginning, we need a 3-step processing in order to know how to answer your questions. There comes the competition word again I was talking about, and we're not answering the questions, and you're trying to put us up against the standards of other people. We're not going to do as well. And then you're going to say to us, I love your energy, I love your personality. So I ask you, bridge builders, if you can help us to get into the fields that you know we would do well at. I got into the life coaching field because I was an educator. And I love to help people become the best version of themselves. And I love to help encourage and celebrate people's wins. That's why I'm a life coach, and I'm here to help you learn what your gifts are. Maybe you don't know what your gifts are yet. Maybe I can help you find your gifts. Before I go on, I just want to make sure. Oh, okay, one other thing I want to talk about before I go on is what sometimes has happened is that if we don't get into the careers that we need and our family and our society are not accepting us and we get on to having to get on to welfare or ask family for money or in order to live, that's not going to motivate us to get going. That's not going to motivate us to get into jobs because the trauma and the rejection and the pain, the emotional bruises of having to go up against people that love us or are supposed to love us can be difficult for some women. It can be very hard for them to say to their family, I'm doing it anyway, because they've already had so many bruises of trying to prove themselves that it just gets exhausting. Let's help these women find out who they are. And that's why I'm not just a life coach for Aspie women, I'm an enrichment coach. I'm here to help you women find your gifts. Because once we find your gifts and what you can give to the world, you can go into the right jobs, the right parts of the community, and really show your gifts off. Because I think that once you have pride in what you do you're going to be so much more successful. You're going to be so much happier. You're going to confidently walk over this bridge into new opportunities. And that, my friends, is where next week is going to come in. New opportunities. How can we find ways to help the individual who excels in all different arts and sciences and technology go into the community and serve the community in ways that are close to their heart? Because I'll tell you, with the autistic individual, you put them on a job that is resonating with them, you will never see her call out sick. You will not see her late, and she will be on task. You do it the other way, expecting her to live up to your standards without any way of giving her an accommodation to do her job better. If you try and put her into a job that you think she can handle, you're going to lose her faster. Help her find jobs that have her gifts in mind. Maybe she's great at categorizing. Libraries and things like that might be of her interest if she's into books. The biggest thing as bridge builders is get to know the Aspie in your life. Get to know the Aspie client. Get to know what she does well, what she is passionate for, where her gifts are, because those are the keys that are going to help her go into society and become strong members of society. I can tell you, that's what happened to me. I found that my visual acuity, my visual creativity is what helped me cross the bridge, because once I was seen by society members and organization members, that's what made my heart grow. And that's what can do it for her. So I know this works. I know that if I have help and I can find help for you, you're going to go into society with your head held high, knowing that you can serve the way I've served. So next week, I hope you'll come back and learn all about some of the new opportunities, new ways of looking at jobs that will get a new perspective on your questions and answers. I hope you've had a good time. I hope if you have any questions about what we've discussed today, you'll send me a message. I hope that I can further this discussion for you, or tell you more about what it means to be a bridge builder if you'd like to serve, or how to get involved and sign up for my Aspie Bridge Builders website if you'd like to find help. Let me tell you, there are still some categories that I need help for. Hey guys, I have a great idea for you. You know what it's like for us to go car shopping or get some things done around the house? Imagine if I had a bridge builder who could help Aspie women not get taken in car sales, or look at engines in cars to see if they're any good. That would be a great bridge builder opportunity. There are many opportunities that are still available for team leaders in my Aspie nonprofit business I'm creating called Aspie Bridge Builders. And the website, if you'd like to take a look at it, is aspiebridgebuilders.com, and see if there's a category that you might like to volunteer for. Let me tell you quickly in the last few moments that I have. A volunteer is a person who I will connect with at the top of this bridge, and I will ask you to sit down with me and the Aspie individual to get to know what their problem is. We'll spend about 30 minutes learning where their challenges in a particular category. And then you two will make a physical plan to work together to create a system that is long-term. Not a one-time, but a repeatable system to help her navigate the same challenge that may come up for her. Like, for instance, trying to find a vehicle that is right for her. If she knows that she has someone who has her back, they can help her find a vehicle. She's going to feel more secure about going into society. Now, once you've created the plan, if you give her a call back about a week or two later and say, hey, how's it going? How's everything working out for you? Can I answer any more questions? That's as easy as it is to be a bridge builder. Now, if you create a relationship where she has other questions, she might be more willing to hire your services for the next time she has a problem or a concern or a challenge. So this can be a win-win situation for everybody involved. The first time, the 30, 60, 30 period of time is volunteer to help her get comfortable with who you are, see that you're willing to have her back, support her going into the community so that she feels confident. Now, once you do the follow-up and you've built a rapport with her, do you think she might be likely to hire you for other things? Other issues that come up? You bet. So this can be a win-win situation for you. So now that I have dispelled all of the issues that might come up with missed opportunities and a competition, I'm hoping that you have more confidence in signing in with my program, because this is going to be the thing that is going to help society come back together with a neurodiverse world. If we are helping each other, it's going to be a much better world. And at that, I want to say thank you very much for coming today. I hope I've answered all your questions, but feel free to put comments in to let me know where I can serve you more. Thank you very much. This is Suzanne. Next week, new opportunities for the Aspie woman and her spouse or family member who might also be Aspie. And we'll talk to you next week. Have a great day.